So welcome everyone. This was the workshop that I went over at STC today, and I went over an introduction to web development. So this workshop will teach you how to build and maintain your own websites. A little bit about me. I'm Matthew and I'm a fourth year computer science major at UCLA. I served as the 2014-2015 Pillow Technology Chair, where I made the website for our club's signature event to raise money for our main beneficiary, Alexandria House, and I also served as the 2016-2017 Technology Chair. So the definition I like to give for web development is the process of developing web pages or websites hosted on the internet. Basically, any website that you see when you search on your web browser counts as web development. So what does web development entail? There are three major components of web development. The first component is the client side, or the front end. This is what the user sees when they interact with the web page. For example, when you go on Facebook, it's the web page that gives the user an interface to work with. The two major areas of front-end web development are the user interface and the user experience. The user interface is what the user sees when he or she goes to the web page. The user experience is how intuitive it feels to use the web page. For front-end web development, the primary tools you will be working with are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I won't go into too many details, but all three of these work together to form the web pages you see on the internet. The second component is the server side, or the backend. This handles the requests that the user sends and gives information back to the client side. This is done via a protocol called HTTP, which stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. I won't go into too much technical detail on how this works, but this gives us the ability to get status updates on Facebook, post content such as statuses, videos, and comments, put or patch statuses we want to edit, or delete content we have posted. There are many frameworks on the internet such as Node.js that are used for the server side, which we will go over briefly later in the workshop. The third component is the database. Databases store information that the website can retrieve later on. The most common querying language for databases is SQL, which stands for Structured Querying Language. The two major types of databases are relational databases, which use a table structure analogous to Microsoft Excel, and non-relational databases, which are key value pair-based analogous to a dictionary, where you have words and the corresponding definition. MySQL and PostgreSQL are two major relational databases, and MongoDB is a major non-relational database. This workshop will be going over three primary ways of doing web development, so please keep in mind how these three components relate to the techniques we will be going over. The first method will be to use website builders. Website builders are tools that typically allow the construction of websites without manual code editing. Some of the pros are that it is the most beginner-friendly of the three methods. A lot of these website builders are simply drag and drop, so it abstracts a lot of the technical detail away from the person building the website into an easy-to-use interface. Additionally, it is the easiest for other people to use in terms of making changes to the website, since you can easily add and change content without needing too much technical knowledge of things like front-end development, such as HTML or CSS. Also, hosting the website on the internet is pretty easy, since these website builders provide a domain name and URL that you can share with others. Some of the cons are that it is the least flexible of the three methods we will go over. What I mean is that it is difficult to make your own custom changes to the website if you want to add new functionality, because you cannot fight against how the framework works. For example, if you want to add a custom widget or do special UI effects, this is much more difficult than using a content management system or building it yourself, because the frameworks are not really designed for the user to write their own logic to do so. This goes into the next point of having less direct control of the website, since you are pretty much limited to your website builder's logic. A few examples of website builders are Weebly, Wix, and Squarespace. I personally haven't used Wix, but I've dabbled with Weebly and Squarespace a bit, and they have some powerful features to get a website up and running in a short amount of time. So if you just want something you can put on the internet quickly without much setup, then this method might be the way to go. So here's an example of a website builder. So it's my old Weebly website, so let's take a look at it. It looks pretty terrible, so don't judge me, please. Yeah. So here it is. If we want to directly edit it, actually let's just create like a new site, like entirely, just to show how to set it up. So what you would do is once you create a Weebly account, you'll go to this plus button over here, and this is where you could add like a site that you want. So you do things like just say if you want an online store or not, and then you just pick like any of these templates. So for example, let's say for a personal website, you could use, like, if you're into photography, for example, start with this. And then all you have to do is hit the start editing button at the top right, and you can just start making changes. It'll create the website for you, and it'll prompt you for a domain name. So it's loading right now. Take some time. There we go. So then, like, for example, today it would have been like STC 2017, for example. As long as it's available on the Weebly.com extension, then you could name it whatever you want. So let's call it STC 2017. Alright, so now you could just start making changes directly, like just via drag and drop, or like just, yeah, like over here. You could replace the image if you want. You can also just change text directly here, like hello world, welcome to STC 2017, for example. So it's very easy to make changes. Like, this is literally all you do. And then if you want to add things like images, or like, for example, a contact form over here, for example, literally just drag and drop. It's a little bit hard to see, but you could change the color just like normal, like you would in, like, for example, Google Docs or something. Sorry, that was kind of bad. So you could just do a lot of things directly here. It's pretty good. Off the top of my head, I'm actually not sure how to change color, but this is just proof of concept. I mean, like, pretty much you can just add whatever you want, and it's really nice. You have this sidebar with a bunch of different features you could just easily drag and drop and add. So yeah, and then if you want, you could just publish it, continue, and then we'll check out how it looks. Boom, here we go. And then we could see the stuff we added. We added this text box over here, hello world, welcome to STC 2017, and we added this content. If we wanted to, we could change it later. So yeah, that's a website builder for you. The second method we will be going over is to use a content management system. So what a content management system is, it's a computer application that supports the creation and modification of digital content. So some of the pros of a content management system are that it offers more flexibility in making changes than website builders. Content management systems make it easier to write your own logic for certain aspects of the web page, while still offering a lot of the drag and drop capabilities of website builders. This also means that it is still relatively easy for others to make changes without knowing too much of the technical details behind it. So you can still perform like a lot of the adding or editing pages of, for example, like articles or events, like for a Circle K website, for example. And the last major advantage is the ability to install plugins. This is my personal favorite part, because there are many common plugins that can be added to your website online. So you don't have to worry about implementing the feature yourself, such as creating users or implementing logins. As they say, don't reinvent the wheel. If it's already been created before, just reuse it. Like, why reinvent the wheel? But however, some of the cons are that it is still less flexible than building things yourself. Since content management systems generally provide themes and framework functionality, it could still be a challenge to write your own logic to perform certain operations. Templates and frameworks give a lot of the bare bones structure, but you cannot fight against them if you want to build really custom and unique features. Finally, finally, the major difference between content management systems and building it yourself from website builders is that you generally have to handle hosting the website yourself. So, for example, for WordPress, basic content management system websites can be automatically hosted, but if you want to use your own custom domain, then you would have to look into other hosting services. So this is actually what the UCLA Circle K website does. We use cPanel, but there are other alternatives such as HostGator, Heroku, or Amazon Web Services, to name a few. The two major content management systems are WordPress and Drupal. I personally have never used Drupal, so I can't really say too much about that. But the UCLA Circle K website uses WordPress, and it does allow for quick and easy updates while still having some flexibility to make direct changes to the code itself. So for a serious website that will have a fairly large user base, such as the Circle K website, I would recommend this method because it won't take as much time to set up as building it from scratch, while still providing the flexibility to make custom changes. So let's take a look at the UCLA Circle website. I'm pretty proud of the website since it has a lot of nifty features that I incorporated into WordPress via just like plugins or just like creating it separately. So let's take a look at that. So yeah, like just play around with this. Since we're logged in, like you would have the ability to like edit pages or like go to a dashboard where you could do things like change the widgets, for example. So this is like sort of the internals of like our website. Nothing too confidential, so we could just show you like certain aspects of it. If we go to, for example, plugins, no, it's widgets. Basically, like this is what you see on the front page when you first go to uclacki.org. So then you could change some of the things like the contact info. Okay, that's old. Sorry about that. Like for example, next meeting. That's also very old. Trying to find a good example. I guess like the Twitter account. So okay, actually that's private. Here we go. So this is the one like that you actually see when you're looking for next general meeting. So you could just directly make changes here. In addition to that, you could add your own PHP code for WordPress, and that will enable you to make changes. So let's actually try to see like a basic example of this. So assuming you have a WordPress account, what you could do is go over here to add a new site, and we're gonna just create like another STC website. So we want a welcome page for my site. Let's pick like a first template, give it a web address, STC 2017. The hell? Okay, sorry. That was kind of weird. But yeah. I don't know why it duplicated. I think I might have created like an arbitrary account before. So let's just do this. Wait, no, that's redundant, sorry. Should be south. Beautiful. Here we go. So let's select this. So it's sort of like a freemium model for WordPress. Like the basic functionality is free, but if you want additional features, then you would have to pay for it. So that's sort of like how they make money. So right now, let's just select it as free because it's just a demo. Boom, here we go. All right, so yeah, we could start making changes directly. What do you want to do? Let's say like edit this. change the look and feel of the home page of it. Yeah, let's say like, I don't know, hello world, welcome, oh my god, can't spell. Welcome to STC 2017. So this is just like the basic example of this. And the cool thing about WordPress is that you have both a visual editor and an HTML editor. So if you wanted to actually just like do some basic like I don't know, HTML, like just have different tags like hello world. Sorry, I'm not very original. You would notice that, yeah, like this is just like general text over here, like when I'm highlighting, and this would be like a very big header. So let's update this. We'll take a look at how it actually looks later on. So view the page, it gives you a nice little preview. Boom, that's pretty big. So yeah, it's just like the title. So yeah. And now you could just like go to the actual link itself. So it's STC South 2017 WordPress.com. Boom, here we go. See how that looks. Yeah, so you could just see the changes you directly made. So that's like pretty cool. And you could just build it off this template. So you have like an about page, contacts, blog, and yeah, you could just edit directly via drag and drop, or you could use like the HTML editor or add your own files, which gives you a lot more flexibility than just a basic website builder. So that's that. All right. So the third and final method will be to build it all yourself. Some of the pros of this is that if you are looking for a job in software engineering, then this is the most commonly used method in industry. Pretty much all the companies will expect you to be able to build a website without the use of website builders or content management systems. So you could create websites from scratch to add to your portfolio or resumes when applying to jobs. Most companies, when interviewing candidates, will not take you seriously if you show them a website you created via a website builder or a content management system. So you do have to know this method if you want to go into software engineering or software development as a career. Secondly, you have complete control of all the features. You can add whatever features you want from scratch, or you can import them from libraries such as Bootstrap for styling. But some of the cons are that it requires extensive technical knowledge of the three components that I mentioned earlier. Reminder, it's the client side or front-end development, server side or back-end development, and databases. Additionally, this method is the least intuitive for other people to add changes to your website because this would require them to also have a solid grasp of technical details. Unless you implement features that abstract away content creation, sort of like what WordPress or the website builders do. But this isn't very easy, and it might take a very long amount of time, so it's not as feasible. Lastly, you definitely have to handle hosting yourself, and this can take quite a bit of time to master. So it's just like another headache or whatever you have to worry about. So that's something to keep in mind. So some technologies you can use to build your own website from scratch are to use Bootstrap CSS for styling. Bootstrap was created by Twitter and makes it easier to make mobile responsive and beautiful websites. A common backend that's used is Django, which is written in Python, and you could use this to host websites and receive requests from the client to receive certain actions. There are other frameworks you could use as well. Some of the ones that are really popular right now are Ruby on Rails, Go, Scala, and like a few other ones. Like those are some of the major ones. And for databases, you could use things like PostgreSQL, which is a commonly used database that you can use to store data. Or you could use other things like MongoDB if you're more into the non-relational databases, or stick with just MySQL or SQLite if you want to use like the defaults of a lot of backend frameworks. So let's take a look at the UCLA Circle K Pillow Fight 2015 website. I'm actually really proud of this website because it's the first legit website that I ever made. So it's basically my baby. So I'm really happy about it. Yeah. So it used a Bootstrap template called from the Squad Free website. So I didn't build it like completely from scratch. I just used some of the tools that are provided online, but this is basically like a lot of self-implementation still. This banner was made by Nick Stringfellow, shout out to him, and it uses a lot of the really cool UI effects of Bootstrap. So as you can see in the nav bar, you could just like move it around. It's transparent as you go to the top. Same with the footer. And yeah, it has that really cool bounce effect. The load screen, you can see when it's loading up over here. And I'm just using like a bunch of like different technologies. Like this is from what's called the Embed Social API. So what it does is if you provide a URL link to a Facebook page that has photos, then it just links it directly to the Facebook page and presents it in sort of like a gallery view, which is pretty cool. We have sponsors, which, oh, it actually works. Okay, cool. So these were some of the sponsors that Pillowfight 2015 had. Very nice. Models, which unfortunately I don't have the photos right now. And Contact Us, which is basically just a contact form. And this is all done with, yeah, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and the Bootstrap template for styling. So this website didn't really need a backend, but like that's fine. Like it was just like sort of advertising Pillow Fight, so it didn't need to be like too extra. So just like sort of as a proof of concept, I'm just gonna go over like how you would edit like a basic page of this website. So what we have here is the index.html. So in web development, index is generally the homepage of your website. So what I want to do is I want to open this and show you how it looks like as a bare bones framework. So we'll go to Google Chrome. We're opening it up locally, and right now it doesn't look too nice because it's not the exact same as what we had on hosted on the internet, but it's good enough for a proof of concept. So what we have here, right, is our navigation bar, and it gives us the option to go to like home, about us, tickets, photo gallery, sponsors, and contact us. So basically the nice thing about it, of building it yourself, is if you actually know where all the code is like responsible, you could just like sort of like just make changes right away. Like you could remove this, and you would see that as soon as we refresh the page, once we save the file, this top part over here just goes away. So you have the most control over your website over here. Like you could basically define whatever you want. So if we want to put it back, just Command Z for Mac, Control Z for PC, or I was also Linux, and just save it like we did before. Boom, it's back. Nice. Yeah, so you can do a lot of things here. If you want to learn more about web development specifically, I would recommend looking into Code Academy as well as W3 schools. Like those are some very good tutorials I personally used when I was first starting to learn web development. And then also like there's a ton of resources online. YouTube, Google, all of those are your best friends. So if you want to sort of just pick up web development on your own, yeah, there's a lot of resources online. And yeah, feel free to check those out. Yeah, let's close this. All right, so now you're probably asking yourself, which method best suits your needs? Flexibility and ease of use. So website builders are easy to use, but less flexible in making changes. So I would recommend these for beginners or those who want a simple web page to show content, such as advertising, an event, and not much else. So in that case, you would use something like Weebly or Squarespace, where you don't really need like an extensive database or a backend or anything fancy. Like if you just want to show content, like a portfolio website, if you're into like photography, for example, or if you're like a artist or any of those, like, and you just want to showcase your work, then this is probably the best way to go. Like, if you don't want anything extra. Uh, Content management systems are harder to learn, such as WordPress or Drupal, but they offer greater flexibility. So I would recommend this to intermediates or those who need a production-ready website to share many events, deal with database interactions, or handle users, or as well as like logging in, logging out. So if you want to like make your own website with a lot of I guess like transactions or users, or something like for a Circle K club, then I would actually recommend using a content management system, because it sort of provides the best of both worlds from a website builder as well as building it yourself. So then it gives you the flexibility when needed while still providing an easy to use interface. Finally, I would do it yourself completely if you are an advanced user and want complete autonomy over how your website feels, looks, and works. Alright, so thank you all for being a great audience. Here's the link to the presentation slides if you want to refer to it later. And yeah, this presentation will be posted on the UCLA Circle K YouTube channel. So yeah, when it's up, I'll put it on the Facebook group and you can check it out. And feel free to refer to this anytime. And lastly, here's my contact info if you need anything. Feel free to contact me or connect with me on LinkedIn. I also have a few other links too. Here's my GitHub, where I write code sometimes, or at least I try to write code. It's pretty bad sometimes. And also, here's my personal website, which also looks really bad. But I'll try to make it nicer whenever I have time, which I still need to find. So hopefully sometime soon, maybe like during summertime after graduation, if I graduate. So yeah. Yeah, thank you everyone, and yeah, thank you for being a great audience again, and hope you learned something about web development.